Welcome, Ningen Isu fans. I'm Peter Skov from Music is a Journey, and I am doing the final episode in the Ningen Isu album by album series, which I started earlier this year. And I've been telling the background stories behind each of Ningen Isu's albums. And most of that information has been coming from this book here, Ningen Isu Isu no Nakakara. There is a section in this book where they mostly Kenichi Suzuki and Shinji Wajima, but also Nobu Nakajima as well when he gets in the picture. They tell a little bit about what went on behind the making of each of the albums. And that's what I've been reading and doing my best to put into English. And we finished getting up to the 19th album in the last video. And it's been a while now. It was, I think, way back in February. And the last video I actually did for this channel was near the end of March too. So it's been a long time. And there's, without wanting to make lots of lame-ass excuses, two main reasons are, one, I actually have been very busy making videos, but they have been for work because of COVID-19, the new coronavirus. My English school where I work at has been shut down for almost most of March and all of April, I think. But anyway, we gave our students lots of homework, and then after that, our manager thought it might be a fun idea to open a YouTube channel, and that's what us teachers have been doing, some of us more than others, but I've been very busy at it, making videos and doing kind of fun things like this, just to, little themed videos to keep the students, keep them remembering the English that they learned. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun, but it's been taking a lot of my time. And then the other thing that I've been working on since making the last video is, as I said in the last video, all this information that I've been digging out of this book and this magazine and wherever else I get it from, I wrote all these notes down here on a computer, which is probably off camera, which I keep consulting. And I thought, now I've written all these notes down, why not put them on a blog site somewhere? So I went to WordPress, where I have my Music as a Journey blog, and I created a brand new one, Ningen Isu Albums, I think it's called. Well, it's ningenisualbums.wordpress.com. And I've just put in all this information, all my notes. I rewrote a little bit. I added in song titles, song translations, information like release dates, who played what, and all that other kind of stuff. So you can find all that information on that website. Okay, now we're going to get into the albums in a moment here. However, the cat is meowing at the door. You might be able to hear him. I'm going to pause the video and come back then to talk about the albums, the last two. Right, so let's get on with it. Here we go. We are up to album number 20, and this one is entitled Ijigen kara no Houkou, or as it's translated, The Roar from Another Dimension. Alright, well, let's find out about the details behind this album. What did I write? Try not to make it so, I usually try to hide that I'm looking at the computer, but I'm going to look at the computer now. Okay, so what I've got here is, since Burai Hojo was considered a counterpart to Mandoro, Wajima wanted a suitable counterpart for Kaidan Soshite Shito Eros, their 19th album. And the theme of that album was ghost stories and the supernatural. So they thought for this album here, the theme might be another dimension. Now the trick was, how do you capture that in an image? What is a suitable image to show, like, another dimension? Well, for that, Wajima and Suzuki tapped back into their roots. You see, they are from Hirosaki in Aomori, and they have a festival every summer, the Nepta Festival, which is not the same as the Nebuta Festival, which is in Aomori City in Aomori. The Nepta Festival, basically the same thing though. And for that festival, they have these big floats that they parade around with all these paintings on the side. And Suzuki was particularly a fan of the more rough, aggressive, violent type looking illustrations that are on those floats. And when he actually wrote the song Nepta no Mondoriko from the Mandoro album, he was exactly thinking of this picture here. If you take a close look, you can see there are three figures here engaged in fierce battle. And one of the figures down in the lower right corner, his eyeball is popping out. So they waited, I think mostly Suzuki, waited for a chance to use this artwork on one of their album covers. And it just seemed that was the time for this album here. So they secured the rights from the artist to use this illustration, and there it is on the cover of their 20th album. And Wajima particularly liked it because it shows three figures, and Ningen Isu is a three-member band, so perfect. All right, now in the book, at this point here, they start talking about the different songs on the album. Let's see here, Cho Shizen Gensho. What track is that anyway? Track 3. Yeah, track 3. Oh, there's some beautiful illustrations on the back too, by the way. Track 3, now my tongue is tied. Cho Shizen Gensho. Okay, let's see here. Yes, Wajima talks about the seemingly regular 4/4 beat, but backed against an odd time signature with the guitars. He also likes the simple but catchy lyric, Kuru Kuru Mirakuru, which you probably know is like Kuru Kuru Mirakuru, which roughly translates as it's coming, a miracle. Anyway, kind of a catchy lyric, so he's into that. Now, let's see here. The talk soon quickly turns to Taiyo ga ippai. Many suns, or there are many suns. Anyway, this one here is kind of interesting because the riff and overall the song has a strong rainbow feel to it. Now, Wajima wrote the song, however, he's not particularly a big fan of rainbow. That's more Suzuki and Nakajima. They're more the rainbow type. So why was it that he wrote a song like that, Wajima? Why did he write a rainbow type song? Well, he said, first of all, yes, he's a fan of Ritchie Blackmore, of course, but he performed live with Takasaki Akira from Loudness. And they played, what's it called here, Crazy Doctor together. And Wajima really liked the style of that guitar solo, the kind of neoclassical style that Ritchie Blackmore was partially responsible for making popular in the 70s. So Wajima thought, I want to be able to play a guitar solo like that again. So he came up with the song Taiyo ga ippai and wrote that kind of solo for it. So that's why you get a very strong rainbow type sounding song from Shinji Wajima. All right, let's see here. So, as you know, there was one video for this album, Kyomu no Koe, and that song, it's the opening track of the album, that song was only partly completed when the band entered the studio to begin working on the album. But Wajima left it until the very last day because he says an album is like a jigsaw puzzle. When all the pieces fit together, then you have a beautiful picture. However, if there's a piece missing, you've got to fill that somehow. And so he always considers the different songs on the albums, the styles, the sounds, the themes, and everything. And if he felt it needs one more of something different, then he's got a song to put in there. And that's what he did with Kyomu no Koe. Kept that song to the side and then thought, okay, there is a space for that song. Boom, in it went. And then, hey, it was the video, the song they made a video for that album. So that's kind of cool. Let's see here. Suzuki at this time had gotten his motorcycle license, but he did not buy a Suzuki. That was Wajima who has the Suzuki. Suzuki bought the Yamaha. Anyway, so yeah, he began riding a Yamaha, and this inspired the song Jigoku no Heavy Rider. Now, if you watch the previous videos, you'll know that Suzuki sometimes makes some quips about his weight, because in later years, he has gained a little bit of weight, as have I. And so anyway, I guess that's the Jigoku no Heavy Rider. That's basically self-referencing. And he wanted a motorcycle sound for the song. So Wajima thought, hey, well, I've got a motorcycle, I've got a portable recorder, I'm going to strap this to my bike, take it out for a ride and record the sound. And so Wajima did that, showed up at the studios, spoke to their engineer, and they worked on picking out where the best sounds were, getting it all mixed right, and say, okay, Suzuki, come on over here, listen to this. What do you think about these motorcycle sounds? And Suzuki listened and thought, yeah, he wasn't really all that impressed. And Wajima was like, oh man, after all the effort we went through to get it sounding just right. So what he did was, Wajima, he got a slide for his guitar, and then along with his fuzz box and slide, he created that motorcycle sound that you hear at the beginning. And Suzuki says there are a lot of bands that put motorcycle sounds on their albums, but this one here that Wajima created, he says that's really the bomb. That's the one that really sounds and feels like a motorcycle. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And there was Ningen Isu Club video series. I saw one episode on YouTube where Wajima actually did that. He got his slide out and he showed, this is how I made that motorcycle part at the beginning of Jigoku no Heavy Rider. Cool. Okay. Let's see here. Mention also goes to Nobu Nakajima, the drummer, for his vocal work on Akuma no Tenjoin, which is said to sound a lot like Graham Bonnet, who sang on Rainbow's Down to Earth album. So these days when Wajima writes a song that he thinks should be in a key that's a little bit higher above his range, then he writes it for Nakajima, because Nakajima can hit those higher notes. He's got a higher register. And also it says here for the song Tsukiyo no Oni Odori, I think that's the second track, isn't it? No, it isn't. It's the fourth track. Tsuki no Oni Odori gets praise from Wajima because he says it's difficult to guess what era the song is from. It has a 70s style to the riff, but it's difficult to place exactly. So pretty cool. And I quite like that song. It's become one of my favorites. So it says here at the end, what I typed, ultimately, Ijigen Kara no Houkou has a good blend of songs, with some paying respect to their biggest mentor, Black Sabbath, of course, and other songs having more catchy hard rock approach. They are pleased to have Itansha no Kanashimi as the closing track. Wajima and Suzuki both, I think even Nakajima also said so too. That makes a great final track for the album. They're glad to have had it on. Okay. Right, so that's it for Ijigen Kara no Houkou, album 20. Let us now take a look at last year's album 21, Shin Seinen. The 21st album, and that's why this video series is so long, because there's 21 albums to talk about. Anyway, it seems that with Ningen Isu, whenever they have to go in to write an album, they try to make it into some kind of new and important step. And so for the last album, well, it was their 20th album, so that was an important thing. And for this one here, they were coming up to, well, it was their 30th anniversary since the release of their EP way back when in 1989. So they thought, okay, well, we've covered 30 years of history. Let's make an album that looks forward to the future. Let's give it a kind of young feeling. And so Wajima was thinking, what is an apt title for an album where we're looking forward to the future, not looking back over 30 years? And then he remembered a magazine series called Shin Seinen, which often published Edogawa Rampo's stories, and of course, as you know, Ningen Isu, the name, and many of their songs and album titles are inspired by the works of Edogawa Rampo. So, naming this album after the magazine that published his stories seemed like a great idea, and they were really pleased about that. Okay, the title actually does translate into New Youth, which does give the album a positive outlook towards the band's future. Let's see here. Not everyone could have predicted, however, that Mujo no Scatto, also known as Heartless Scat around the world, would become such a big hit, currently having over 6 million views. Incredible. And of course, lots of YouTube reaction videos, not only for Mujo no Scatto, but also for many of their other more recent videos, and even old ones as well. So that's really cool. Let's see here. Yeah, so also, as you know, a lot of you know, in February, the band headed overseas for the first time in their career and played 2 shows in Germany and 1 in London to great success. They said even though the shows were not totally sold out, I don't know if that was all of them or just 1 or 2 of them, just the places were packed with people who really wanted to be there to see this band perform live. And if you've seen any of the videos, you know, it was just a party. It was an event. It was great. I wish I could have been there, but I will hopefully have a chance to see them here in Japan sometime. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, and of course they were supposed to go to the South by Southwest show in Texas in the middle of March. However, because of COVID-19, the whole thing had to be canceled, the whole event. So another time, let's hope the world doesn't forget about this band. All right, but there was an interesting thing that Wajima actually said. I don't remember if it was an interview or a video or something, but he said that after performing Mujo no Scatto and I think also Inochi Urimasu, he realized something very important, and he said there'll be something coming up probably around June, something new. And I'm gathering that he found, because the choruses of those 2 songs, it's not Japanese, right? I mean, it's scat, so it's something that everybody can sing along to. So I think he said, yeah, it's not going to be something about English necessarily, not necessarily Japanese either, but I have an idea. So we might be able to look forward to another new single coming out later on in the summer. Okay, moving on with about the album though. Nakajima notes that the initial release of the album includes a bonus track, making this album with 14 tracks the longest Ningen Isu album, or the one with the most tracks ever. Wajima reflects on how this album, like every album, began with cool riffs, but actual songwriting usually comes as the deadline is approaching. Wajima, as we heard in the past, he always had a problem with deadlines, and it seems he does his best work under the pressure of a deadline. So, music comes easy, lyrics is another story. Now, Heartless Scat, Mujo no Scatto, Heartless Scat, was actually written the day before the recording commenced. And once they had recorded the rhythm part, then they made the opening track, Shin Seinen Maegaki, which is basically the New Youth foreword or prologue, that kind of thing. Well, forward, exactly. Maegaki means forewriting, so there you go. So they did that, and yeah, that song actually harkens back to Inju, which was the song that got them the attention when they played it on that TV show way back in 1989, that won the judges over and eventually earned them a contract to record the 7-song EP. So Inju has that heavy wah-wah pedal guitar riff, and so does Shinnen Maegaki. So it's kind of interesting that they tie back to their early days like that. So what's kind of interesting was the album Mandoro. That was when they were going to do Ozfest, and they considered that album should be like their second debut. How about this one here now? It's kind of like the band's third debut, isn't it? Debut to the world. Okay, and yeah, there's another reason to celebrate a new beginning. For those of you who don't know, Japan goes by, of course, the Western year, like now is 2020, but they also go by the imperial year. And for each emperor, there is, an imperial period, era? Anyway, so previously we had the Heisei period. And then the Heisei emperor retired last year. He actually had to ask permission from the government to retire, because usually just the emperor passes away and then the new period starts. So anyway, he got permission to retire. And so last year was Heisei 31 up until the beginning of March. And then it changed over to the new imperial period, which is called Reiwa, and we are now in Reiwa 2. Last year was Reiwa Gannen, which means the first year of Reiwa. And typically Gannen is not complete because it doesn't start January 1st. In this case, I think it started May 4th, May 5th. Anyway, so it's the Reiwa period now in Japan, and that's a new beginning. So, hey, another reason to celebrate a new beginning. These guys are always looking forward. That's pretty cool. So there were some new additions afoot. First of all, drummer Nobu Nakajima, he contributed one song, Jigoku Kozo. Is that what it is, right? Jigoku Kozo? Yes. Basically the Hell Kid or Hell Boy or Hellish Boy, whatever. And normally when he writes a song, he can imagine the riff in his head, and then he takes a guitar and basically hacks out the riff for the others to see, because he's not an accomplished guitar player by any means, and then they work it out from there. However, this time he actually composed the music using GarageBand, the GarageBand app, to let them hear, this is what I have in mind. So that's cool. Suzuki got himself a portable tape recorder, finally, so that he can record bass riffs or whatever when he's out and about. He did not get it with a drum machine. He said he didn't want that. So he has that. Wajime, of course, has been carrying around portable stuff for decades, I think. Portable recording equipment. And let's see here. Wajima bought himself a Gibson double neck guitar, and he plays the 12 string for the song Tsuki no Appenin-san, which is a song that is basically a kind of slow, almost 70s. Well, I think he said it's like a 70s TV drama intro or something like that. And only at the very end does it get heavy, just the very end part, and then that's it, it's done. So anyway, he had his Gibson double neck and played the 12 string for that song. All right, what do we have here? The band tried to give themselves a little more time for this album. Suzuki comments that they previously always finished just at the deadline, and sometimes thought if they had 5 days more, they could have made a better album. So they tried to give themselves enough time. And Wajima says that with Mujo no Scatto's lyrics, he included a bit of Nietzsche into the writing. And he said he wanted to make the album, he wanted to make the song not sound like a guy holding on to resentment. He did want to give that song a more positive outlook at the end, which I think he does. But he didn't want that, because that's what the song is about, right? At the beginning, this guy is kind of complaining, saying like, angels, can you bless me? Because, someday I want my life to have the success. I want to have the good fortune that I never had. But then as the song goes on, he talks about how there are thousands of people out there all thinking the same thing. I wish I had a little more good fortune in my life, a little bit more success. And so at the end of the song, he asks Buddha to bless everybody with light. Yeah, I think it's a great song. Excellent lyrics, and of course, super mega hit in the world. Okay, let's see here. One extra song that didn't seem to have a place exactly on the album's track running order was decided. It was decided to release it as a bonus track on early editions of the CD. So if you got early ones, you got a track 14 on here. One of Suzuki's songs anyway, a really good one too. And in this book here, then they asked the band, so where do you see yourselves 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Everybody says, we want to keep going at this, with our health and the way we are. Anyway, we plan to keep going ahead another 5 years, 10 years if possible. And Nakajima finishes up by saying that he wants to still be up there playing for the audience, and he wants people to look up at them and say, how old are these guys anyway? Because if you see them, they really get into the music. So that's awesome. Okay, so that's the background information I got mostly from the book once again for the 20th and 21st album. But before we wrap up, I want to mention just a couple other things. This is their first live album from 2010. What is it called now? I gotta check. I always forget. Shippudoto, which basically means, what is it, like the raging gale, the billowing gale winds or something like that. But anyway, that's their first live album. This is from 2010, so of course it covers a lot of material from the 2000s and a few of their older songs as well. And then it also comes with a DVD, live DVD, so that's cool. Then the second live album from 2017, Ifudodo, which I think it means like staidness, impassiveness, but also majesty, that kind of thing. There were several English words suggested checking Weblio. Anyway, another double live album. So this one here has a lot more focus on their 2010s work, but it does actually go back to some of their older stuff too. Ningen Shikaku is on here. Kyoki Samyaku is on here. Yashigaike is on here. So it's not... Rashomon is also on here, right? So, Imomushi, yeah. So, what I want to say basically with these two albums is two live albums, and I think, except for Hari no Yama, there is no overlap. So, you will get two completely different song or track lists with only Hari no Yama being on both of them. Okay, and then also this one here, Early Editions had a live DVD to go with it. I bought this, I think, just at the end of last year, and I got the live DVD on here as well, so there might still be some available, so just to let you know that. And one other thing I wanted to mention was this DVD. Now, as you know, they have a few DVDs. Most of them are live DVDs. This is called Odoru Mandala, and this is just all their music videos, basically going up to 2018. So it includes Inochi Urimasu, which was released as a single in 2018, and lots of other stuff on here. So I bought it specifically because Toyo no Majo. Anyway, that one song, I love the song. I couldn't find the video on YouTube, but it's on here. And then it just has all the other videos, so that's great. So that's it. I think I'm going to wrap it up. Oh, this is the headbang issue featuring Nigen Isu and Baby Metal. Anyway, I'm into it for the Nigen Isu part. Latest edition has their reports on their 3 shows in Europe. I don't know what else I can tell you. That's it. I think I'm done for telling you about Nigen Isu, and then I'm going to get back to doing other videos that I wanted to do. But phew, it's kind of a load to get that one finished. You know that? As for the blog site I mentioned, as I read more in this book and this book and this magazine and that magazine and other things, I will probably add information. Oh, just to tell you, that blog site, we have the albums listed. I'm listing I've got up to their 11th album, 2 compilation albums so far, plus also some background information on some of the songs. I do want to get their entire catalog up there, plus more background information. So do check that out, ningenisualbums.wordpress.com. And that's enough talking. I'm going to move on. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, see you in another video sometime. Take care. Bye.